wrestling fans, and welcome to another edition of the Piledriver Weekly. I'm Electric Eric Davidson, and this is my co-host, the amazing Ace Larson. We're going to kick things off this week with OVW, and the show starts out with the Coalition making their way out to the ring. Crimson isn't with them this week. I don't know where he was. They said he was on assignment at the Pentagon, but he may have had something going on with TNA. But anyhow, Jason Wayne gets on the mic and he says they've waged war on OVW, says they will rid OVW of evildoers, and he goes down the whole list of people that they've eliminated in the past few weeks. And that list includes, Alex Silva, Sam Shaw, Johnny Spade, James Moose Thomas. Then Michael Hayes comes out to the ring, and he's pretty pissed off. Wayne says that, he can't touch him or he'll lose his job, which is true. Hayes says he can't do it himself, but he's got plenty of guys who can come out. And Tony Gunn comes out, Randy Royal, followed by Rockstar Spud, Eddie Diamond, and then Rob Terry, a monster. And then finally, the real kicker, Jay Bradley, comes out. And that was kind of a surprise since he doesn't really seem to have any friends. Maybe he's trying to make some friends. But that sets up a 12-man tag for later, all those guys against the Coalition. Then we have a women's match, the lovely Lila, who isn't really so lovely, versus the new women's champ, Trina. Not much of a match. Trina dominates, gets the quick victory. Then next up we have Cliff Compton versus Rudy Switchblade. And
Those are good.
Yeah, both these guys are real good. Both of them former OVW champions. They had a good match going here, and then out comes the Coalition to bust things up. Compton appears to be joining the Coalition here for a second, but then they attack him as well. So that match just kind of was a throwaway there. And then next up, we see our good friend Ryan Howe backstage getting psyched up, and Heidi comes up and tries talking to him about something, but he's just too
into the moment.
Yeah, and he's not really listening. And he says he's going to get revenge on Bostic and Williams tonight.
Hell yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He was fired up too. Williams last week, cracked him over the head with that microphone, and then Taylor Hendricks comes in and starts bickering with Heidi. Then Bostic walks up, and him and Ryan try getting at each other, but Taylor pushes him back and says he ruins everything, and kind of leads him out of the room. But then Ryan tells Heidi, he'll talk to her later. He grabs his guitar and heads out. Then we see Eddie Diamond apologizing to Epiphany for costing her the women's title last week, and she's kind of like just kind of like stroking his head like a little puppy dog or something. But so those two seem to be romantically linked now for sure. And then Jay Bradley comes in and tells him to get his head straight for the match tonight. And then we see the rest of the team that's going to be in the 12-man, and they don't really seem to trust Bradley too much. But Rob Terry comes in and says, they have to work together here. And so then next up we get Dylan Bostic with Doug Williams versus Ryan Howe and Jamin Olivencia. Real good high energy match to start out here. Ryan Howe was real fired up at the beginning there, and then there were some underhanded tactics by Williams and Bostic, of course, and Williams and Jamin end up fighting all the way to the back and get counted out. And then after the match, Howe and Bostic are still in the ring kind of facing off, and Taylor Hendricks comes out and tells them to quit fighting over her. This whole kind of love triangle's been going on for several weeks now. And finally Ryan speaks up. He's like, look, I'm not the one sending you the gifts here. He said, "You're hot, but you're a dime a dozen." And
Like most.
Yeah. So basically Taylor's like, well, if it wasn't Dylan and it wasn't Ryan, who was it? Out comes Heidi Lovelace to the ring, and she says that it's her that's been sending the gifts, and then she just walks away. So we don't know what her motivation was. Does she have like a gay crush on Taylor? Are we gonna get some hot lesbian action?
Girl on
maybe?
girl.
We don't know. So I guess that's to be
Decided.
revealed. Yeah. Then we get the main event, 12-man tag.
Is that good?
It was pretty intense in the early goings there, especially. The Coalition was actually in trouble until Jack Black hits Bradley with a foreign object. It was like a metal pipe or something. And the Coalition gets DQ'd, but continues to beat down, the OVW team. Then more OVW guys come out from the back and try to make the save, but they get beat down too. So, for the second week in a row, as OVW goes off the air, they're just bodies laying in the ring everywhere as the Coalition stands over them.
I miss these type groups though.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, I kind of like it too. It got a little bit overdone there for a while, but that's OVW for this week. And don't forget, OVW does their TV tapings every Wednesday at the Davis Arena. That's 4400 Shepherdsville Road. Only about $5 to get in. 7 o'clock bell time. If you can't make it out to the matches, try to catch them on WBNA 21, the Ion Network, Saturdays at noon. Or you can watch anywhere that you have access to a computer and internet. They stream their episodes live on their website, and well, not live, but on their website, and that is ovwrestling.com. So check them out. And also, this is Derby week. Normally they do their
Regular show.
their Saturday night special the first Saturday of every month, but because of Derby, and that's why we have this particular backdrop tonight.
Are they putting it off? Or they just not going to do
They're
it?
going to do it the second Saturday this month, so that will be May 11th. All right, and now it's going to be time to move on to Ring of Honor. And Ring of Honor kicks off, and they're at the Manhattan Center again this week. Usually they do like 2 tapings at a time. We get a recap of the Steen Scum incident from last week where he was officially booted from Scum. Then Carino, Jacobs, Cliff Compton pulling double duty once again from OVW. And Rhett Titus of Scum all enter the ring. And Carino challenges any 3 Ring of Honor guys. Right then, right there. So out comes BJ Whitmer and Cedric Alexander and Caprice Coleman. And Carino jumps on commentary here with Kevin Kelly. Decent opening match. Titus gets the pin on Whitmer after nailing with a chain. Chains seem to be popular here the last few weeks, and not just with Scum, but all over wrestling. The Aces and Eights seem to be using it a lot too.
I miss the brass knuckles myself.
Yeah,
So that was pretty solid.
somebody pulled out a pair of brass knuckles a week or 2 ago.
Was it on TNA?
I'm thinking it was. I'm thinking it was somebody from the Aces and Eights pulled out some brass knucks. But so like I say, it started out decent, but the chain comes into play, and Scum continues the assault after the match. Lethal and Elgin make the save here, which somehow leads to an impromptu match between Jay Lethal and Rhett Titus. So Rhett Titus wrestles twice in a row here. Pretty good match. Did I mention that Titus got the pin on Whitmer from the last match?
No.
I said he nailed him with the chain, but
yeah.
I didn't mention the fall. Sorry about that. Yeah, he got the fall on Whitmer there after hitting him with the chain.
And then Lethal got the win.
Lethal gets the win on Rhett Titus here with a lethal injection. It happened pretty quick. Then Lethal gets on the mic and says that marks the first victory for Ring of Honor against Scum, and he basically guarantees victory at Border Wars for him and Mike Elgin. We get some previews and promos for Border Wars next.
Hell yes.
Which is shaping up to be a great card, and we're going to run down the card here at the end of the Ring of Honor highlights. Then we take a look back at Border Wars 2012, where Steve won the title from Davey Richards.
Well, now, was that in May of last year as well? Or was that a little bit later?
I was thinking it was later, but I could be mistaken. For some reason, I was thinking it was like September. But I think maybe I'm confusing it with Death Before Dishonor. It probably was a year ago, because it seems like they would do them in the same month. But I saw that pay-per-view.
Good one.
Yeah, it was. But, they were in Canada, which was...
Steam's home.
Yeah, and they had built him up, and you almost kind of knew he was going to win that night, but it was still a great match.
Yeah.
Then we get a contract signing for Adam Cole versus Jay Briscoe at Border Wars for the Ring of Honor title. They sign, they shake hands. Then Carino comes out again, followed by Rhino and Matt Hardy. Carino says Briscoe should be defending against Hardy, not Cole. Then he suggests a tag team match, which leads to Briscoe teaming up with Adam Cole to take on Rhino and Hardy tonight on the show. And before the match starts, it was funny. Hardy threw his shirt into the crowd, and they threw it back. And
they really did not like him.
They threw it back twice. Not just once, twice.
Poor old Matt Hardy. He can't catch a break.
No, they really just don't like him at all. And
he's been through hell the last few years.
He really has. I'm kind of,
I almost feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of rooting for him, man. I hope he, I hope he finds a home there in Ring of Honor and is able to, reignite his career.
Yeah.
But, he finally throws it back a third time, and the third person keeps it. So, it's a decent match. Cole tags himself in with a blind tag after a while, and he accidentally super kicks Briscoe, and then Cole sidesteps a gore from Rhino. Rhino ends up hitting Briscoe with the gore, and then Cole rolls up Rhino for the win. It was kind of a crazy exchange there. And then we get the card. They run down the card here for
Border Wars.
So that's what we're going to do here.
Which is taking place on Saturday, but we will be watching on Sunday.
Right, because of Derby once again. Like I said, it's like a religious experience here in Kentucky. If you're not from Kentucky,
it's hard to understand.
Yeah, you probably don't get it, but it's the greatest race in the world.
Yeah.
And we dedicate actually 2 weeks to the Derby Festival. 2 weeks long.
Yeah.
Thunder and all that stuff. But so here we're gonna run down the card here, and it's shaping up to be a really good one. First, we got Caprice Coleman and Cedric Alexander versus ACH and TD Tadarius Thomas.
Should be good.
Yeah, that should be a good one. BJ Whitmer looking to get a little bit of revenge on Rhett Titus in an I Quit match.
That should be good.
Yeah, that could get brutal. Then Michael Elgin and Jay Lethal versus any two members of Scum that Carino chooses. We don't know who it's going to be yet.
With Elgin and Lethal, we know it's going to be good.
Right, yeah. And it's, they got some good guys on the Scum,
roster.
Yeah. Then we have TV title match, Matt Taven defending against Mark Briscoe.
Quick question real quick. Do you see a Mark Briscoe versus Jay Briscoe feud, brother versus brother, anywhere in the near future for the title?
It's not out of the question. Because they kind of hinted at it before Jay won the title at the last pay-per-view, Steen defended the title against Mark like just a week before that.
Right.
You know, they're kind of teasing that it could end up being Briscoe versus Briscoe then.
Yeah.
So I could see it happening down the line.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it could be. It kind of establish both them as singles guys. But I don't know. I have a feeling Briscoe's going to take it here. You know, it wouldn't surprise me honestly if they're going to do kind of like put all the belts on the Briscoes for a minute. You know, have Mark win the TV title, then have him win the tag titles together, then maybe set up a feud. Who knows? But that should be a good one. Then we have, Pro Wrestling Noah, out of Japan versus Ring of Honor here. The current GHC Junior Heavyweight Champion, Taji Ishimori versus Eddie Edwards.
That should be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. Noah, to me, they're kind of like the Japanese version of Ring of Honor. They got a lot of good guys. And the next bout,
the one I'm most excited for.
Yeah.
Paul London.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Davey Richards versus Namichi Marufuji. But Marufuji, now whether this is legit or just storyline, he's got a real bad knee injury. It could be legit. I don't know. I don't know the details. But, so he's not going to be able to make it. Or it could also be something as simple as just...
interference?
Well, problems with customs.
Oh, yeah.
He's Japanese. The event's in Canada.
Yeah.
Could be problems with his work visa or anything. But they're at least playing it as an injury. Yeah. So, Paul London is stepping in, to replace Marufuji, and I think that should be a dynamite match.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking forward to that one. That's the first time ever those two guys have faced each other.
Really?
Yes. And then the only thing left is the main event, Jay Briscoe defending the title against Adam Cole. Honestly, I'm not as psyched about this one as I am a couple other matches on the card, but I think it really could be good.
That just shows you the depth of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, it really does when... the world title match isn't necessarily the one that people are looking forward to the most. But all in all, it just sounds like a fantastic card, and we'll be letting you know what happens on the next show with that. So we're going to go on to Impact now. Yeah, which I think Impact has been getting better.
I agree.
Like I said, I still have some... small gripes about it, but I think that TNA takes a lot of undue criticism. I think you have a lot of WWE marks that just...
I think a lot of it's because of Hogan and Steen.
I think that's part of it.
Get out of the way.
But, even before they came along in TNA, there's just some people that TNA's never going to do nothing right. Yeah. They're WWE guys through and through, and to me, that's the difference. They're not wrestling fans.
Right. Yeah,
that's what I was about to say. They're WWE fans. There's a difference.
And that's what Vince wants.
Yeah.
Which is...
to me, I've always been a wrestling fan. I don't have a loyalty to one brand. I may prefer a certain brand, but I watch them all. Mm-hmm. I always have. But anyhow, we got Impact from Indiana, Pennsylvania. Indiana is the town, not the state. I didn't know there was an Indiana, Pennsylvania. Never heard of it before. But anyhow, starts out with recaps. Not important. Then security tries to keep aces and eights out of the building.
They fail.
They fail miserably. They didn't get beat up though. They stepped off and. But yeah, and it was only 3 of them trying to stop this whole gang. But anyhow, then Storm comes out to the ring. And he does give AJ credit for last week for beating him. And AJ is standing in the crowd watching this. And then Storm, remember I mentioned that AJ pulled out a new submission hold there. And Storm mentions it here. He says he doesn't know what AJ calls that new hold, but it hurts like hell. Storm is basically calling out aces and eights here, and out comes Bad Influence.
Hell yes.
Yeah, Daniels and Kazarian.
Dude, I think it's official. They're probably my favorite team. I would pick them over Aries and Rude and Hernandez and Chavo. I think
they are very entertaining.
They're probably my favorite overall around the team.
And they suggest a Fortune reunion. Am I doing that right, or is it this?
Are you that's when Nigel McGuinness was Desmond Wolfe in TNA.
Yeah.
Matt Morgan wasn't he a part of them as well?
Briefly, for a second, like he was trying. It's like him and Nigel were kind of like trying out.
Yeah.
They're for when Ric Flair first started putting it together. He basically said this is going to be the new Horseman. It's just not going to be called the Horseman. And
Styles.
Yeah, Styles and Rude and Storm and Kazarian and McGuinness and Matt Morgan were all kind of like trying out, but it ended up, being the four guys, which I thought was the right choice of guys. They were reminiscent somewhat of the Horsemen, but then eventually Daniels joined them as well, and there were 5 of them. Not too long before the whole thing imploded.
Yeah.
But anyhow, they're basically hinting at a Fortune reunion to fight the aces and eights. Bad Influence trade insults with Storm, and they end up beating him down. Then as they leave, the aces and eights come out and continue to beat up Storm. Out comes Joseph Park, but of course he gets beat up, even gets 3D'd through a table. It's been a while since we've seen the 3D. AJ just watches this whole thing happen, and he kind of had to look like he wanted to do something, but he was just couldn't do it for whatever reason. Park gets carted out on a stretcher, and then Bully gets on the mic, talks some trash, says they've taken out all the heroes. Then says Hogan has till the end of the show to answer his challenge from last week, if anybody remembers that. Then we go on, we see a recap of Mickey becoming the top contender for the Knockouts title. Then we get a match, Taryn Terrell versus Tara, with ODB officiating. Apparently she's going to be the regular Knockouts referee for the foreseeable future. I don't know if she's nursing an injury or something. I don't know why she's not wrestling, but Tara, and it's kind of confusing when you're covering a match between Tara and Taryn.
It was Victoria.
I keep having to enunciate, but Tara controls most of the match here. Then Taryn Terrell gets in a flurry of offense. Tara regains control, but Taryn catches her with a roll-up, so Taryn Terrell gets the victory there. And if I'm not mistaken, she's undefeated since becoming a in-ring competitor. Then we see Robbie E backstage talking to Jesse Goddard, basically stroking his ego.
I can't stand that guy.
Robbie E, he's very irritating, and some people are irritating like in a good way. And
he's not in a good way.
Yeah, I know people think, how can you be irritating in a good way? What I mean is somebody's really good at playing their character, being a jerk. Yeah. Whereas Robbie E just
like Jericho.
Yeah, Jericho can play the jerk real good, but Robbie E just seems like just a real jerk, and you just don't even want to look at him or listen to him. Then that's leads into the match. We got Jesse Goddard versus Rob Terry, which if you remember, Rob Terry and Robbie E were a duo for
he's huge.
A couple of years. Rob Terry's just
massive.
Just a freak of nature, man. The match was entertaining, if nothing else. Terry, he's just powerful as hell, and he gets the win here. Nothing really to write about, but like I said, entertaining. Then we see Bad Influence backstage approach Rude about the whole Fortune reunion idea. And he kind of acts, open to the idea. He even says, like, Fortune, good times, but he says, what about Austin? And they're like, basically forget about him.
Yeah.
And of course, what they don't realize is that Austin Aries is eavesdropping on the conversation. He hears the whole thing. And then we take a look back at Full Metal Mayhem from Corpus Christi. Then we get a video hyping the return of Chris Sabin.
Sweet.
Yeah, which I'm looking forward to that. I'm kind of disappointed that it's not the machine guns,
Yeah.
I guess they've kind of went their separate ways. Alex Shelley,
Where is he?
I believe he's over in Japan.
Is he?
Yeah, I believe
They were a good team.
They really were. But yeah, I believe Alex Shelley is currently wrestling for New Japan. Then Austin Aries confronts Rude backstage about the whole fortune thing, and basically says, "Man, look, I'm going out here to try and win back the tag titles, and I'd like you to do it with me, whatever." But so we get tag title match: Chavo Hernandez defending against the former champs Rude and Aries. Good match as always with these four guys. It's always going to be good when these four get together.
I think it's a little too much to have it on Impact quite so often.
Yeah,
like this.
we've seen them 3 out of the last 4 weeks probably.
Kind of loses a little bit of its luster. Especially for free every week.
Yeah, I'm. They need to. After this, I guess that was their rematch clause.
Yeah.
So after this, they need to go ahead and put some more opponents in front of Chavo and Hernandez, and that's probably what they'll do. And Bad Influence is still in the mix there. Like I said, good match. Rude seems a bit distracted by Daniels and Kazarian at ringside, and Daniels is actually on commentary as well here.
Yeah.
Bad Influence try to interfere on behalf of Rude and Aries, but it ends up backfiring on them, and Chavo and Hernandez get the win, retain the belts. Then we see Matt Morgan in the back talking about Hogan again and all his mistakes, and he says he's going out to the ring next and Hogan should listen. As a matter of fact, he's invited. Then we see a quick little clip of Hogan giving Willie Taggart of South Florida's coach a TNA replica belt for whatever reason. I don't know.
Not even in football season.
Yeah, I wasn't even really paying attention, but then yet another look back at the whole Sting, Bully Ray, Hogan, Morgan drama.
Now Morgan's in it.
Yeah. So, speaking of Morgan, he's out next, and he gets on the mic. He talks about Hogan making the mistake of making Bully Ray top contender, then the mistake of ejecting Sting, and then about Hardy getting injured, and he says he has a solution to all these problems and asks Hogan to come out. Hogan comes out, and Morgan tells him he wants an opportunity to take on Bully. Tells Hogan he is the guy for a prize. He wants a shot at the title at Slammiversary. And of course, Hogan, being the jackass that he is, says that Morgan's doing it for the wrong reasons. And,
brother.
Yeah. And basically tells him, no. Then Aces and Eights backstage laughing at Joseph Park. they're having a field day beating him up.
He's just been thrown to the wolves.
Yeah.
He's like the Cesaro of TNA.
Right. Yeah, kind of. And then, of course, Bully tells the Aces and Eights that, he's going to face Hogan alone, all this crap. Then we get the Knockouts title match. Mickey gets her shot at the current champ, Velvet Sky.
Oh, yeah.
And, two of the most gorgeous women in wrestling today.
On Earth.
Yeah, or on Earth.
You have a thing for Mickey,
yeah.
don't you?
Oh, yeah.
That whole cowgirl thing.
I loved her before the cowgirl thing.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
I
loved her
mean,
when she was a psycho chasing Trish a few years
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, Mickey's been my favorite ever since she came on the scene. But, they shake hands to start the match. But, kind of after the promo that Mickey cut last week and some things that kind of took place here in this match, it almost seemed like she was heading towards a heel turn. And I was actually kind of expecting it to happen in the match and for her to take the belt. It didn't quite go down that way. But, the crowd was actually really hot for this match, too.
I would be, too, for those two.
Well, yeah. and they can both wrestle
both
decent.
wrestlers, yeah.
Especially Mickey. It had a good start. Then, not too far into it, Velvet, tweaks the bum knee. And Mickey starts working it over. This is kind of like, she wasn't playing really dirty yet or nothing, but, she's going after her opponent's weakness, which is smart. But, a guy like Cena would never do that.
Yeah.
But, of course, when Cena does it, it's okay. But anyhow.
Like everything he does, it's okay.
She goes after the knee, and she, gets several, near falls, and actually starts to get frustrated, and finally she gets mad enough that she drop kicks the knee, which that was when I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
But Velvet rose her up for the win, so, and that was that. They didn't show any after match fallout or nothing like that, so who knows where they're going with that. Then Bully Ray and Devon backstage. Bully says he's going to put the final nail in the coffin of Hulkamania tonight. And then we go to Brooke Hogan trying to talk Hulk out of going out to face Bully. Whether she's really sincere or not, we don't know.
We do not know.
I still think that Brooke is a snake in the grass. But, we'll see. So, onto the confrontation. Bully is out first. He reads off a list of all the people that the Aces and Eights have taken out. And that kind of parallels what the Coalition was doing on OVW. I don't think that's exactly a coincidence. Says there's only one victim left, and that's Hogan. And he calls out Hogan. Hogan comes out.
You gotta take out the 60-year-old man.
Yeah. Bully talks trash to Hogan. Says he sees pure fear in Hogan's eyes. And here's what killed me, man. Now even TNA fans are saying, what?
Yeah.
'Cause I caught a few whats there when Bully Ray was talking, and I'm like, really, people? We need to be killing this, not spreading it.
Yeah.
It only made even just a little bit of sense when it was the Stone Cold thing.
Yeah.
Even then, it kind of got on my nerves.
Yeah.
But, now we're 10 years later, and they just say what after every heel says everything.
I don't think a lot of them even know where it came from anyway.
Probably not.
Yeah.
But it's old, people. It's over, drop.
You really hate that, don't you?
It drives me nuts. I can't stand it. It's been driving me nuts for a few years now. I can't stand it, man. And I've always been kind of against the grain kind of person. I can't stand just jumping on a bandwagon, how people just blindly follow fads and trends like sheep. But anyhow, onto the show here. Says he sees fear in Hogan's eyes. Hogan says Hulkamania will never die. Yeah, apparently it won't.
No.
And then Bully spits in Hogan's face.
Hell yeah.
And then I kind of chuckled.
Yeah.
But then Hogan rips the shirt off. And
how long did it take him? 37 seconds?
It took him a lot longer than it used to. Of course, even back when he was at his peak, it was cut.
Yeah.
And then he even does the whole points at him. It's like, man, come on, talk about something that's old and beat to death. That was
God help us.
That was old in 1988.
Oh God.
Anyhow, Aces and Eights come out and surround the ring, and then out go the lights. Lights come back on.
I wonder who that could be.
Yeah, guess who's standing in the ring? It's the Stinger.
Another 50+ year old guy.
Which I got nothing against Sting,
I
man.
don't either, but come on.
Yeah, and he's standing in the ring pointing the bat at Hogan.
Like we haven't seen that 697,000 times.
But then he turns around and takes all the Aces and Eights guys out with the bat.
Well, have him turn, on TNA, not Aces and Eights. Do something different or something.
But, they tried to turned Sting heel a couple times before, and it just doesn't work.
It's like with Cena, it just doesn't work.
The fans just won't buy him as a heel.
Yeah.
They'll just keep cheering for him. Now, Cena, I think, could work because enough people hate him. Sting is just beloved by everybody.
Yeah, because he's an actual wrestler.
Yeah, and so
pretty good show, you think?
Not.
No, it wasn't on par with the last couple.
No, it was a step backwards.
Especially the Hogan thing ended the whole show kind of deflated.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what's next? They're gonna roll themselves down in wheelchairs?
I guess with IVs in them, but my main gripe is still just too much talk and not enough action. I'd like to see 2 more matches instead of the half hour of
1997
pointless crap. But TNA doesn't have the market cornered on that. WWE is just as guilty of it.
Yeah.
So that's that for Impact. And now we move on to SmackDown.
From London.
From London,
Raw.
Yeah.
Maybe Bird will be on the show tonight.
Yeah, maybe so. We get a recap of Del Rio Swagger, then a recap of the Shield versus Hell No and Taker. Then we get a match, Swagger versus Del Rio, no DQ. And I just had to shake my head as Swagger's doing his entrance. Dumbass Michael Cole actually spews this out of his mouth. Says, this match could have championship implications. Dude, they're both wrestling for the title at the next pay-per-view in a triple threat.
I don't fucking get it.
It could have championship implications.
Well, no shit.
I mean, the winner of this match could get a title match somewhere down the road. Is basically what he was saying. I mean,
what's he gonna say? The winner of the next match, you get a WWE contract.
I mean, and Cole is not a terrible commentator. He just he has the voice and everything for it, and he has the flow. He just says such incredibly stupid things.
It ruins it all.
Yeah, it's like, do you even watch the show?
No.
So
it was okay, I guess.
Yeah,
we've seen it already.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Another somewhat lengthy match between the two.
Not as good as the
No, it wasn't as good as last week. But Swagger gets the win with the gut wrench. Then we have a women's match. Oksana, which I haven't seen much of her.
Hey, I saw her live at a house show last year. She's hot. She was managing Cesaro at the time.
That's what I remembered her from. I haven't really seen her in ring too much.
I saw her in ring against that one chick, Alicia Fox, at a house show earlier this year. She's just, I don't know, she's pretty good looking, I think.
She's a little rough around the edges, but still kind of sexy.
Yeah.
She was actually pretty impressive here. Layla does end up getting the win with a really impressive combo into a pin.
Calls it the Infinity?
Yeah, the Infinity.
That's something fresh.
Yeah, and it was really cool because it was like arm drag, almost into a crossface, and then like almost into a back slide. It was really cool, and I thought it was a good move. And of course, there again, she was in her home country, and it was even wearing the British flag. Then we get a preview of the upcoming Divas reality series on the E! Network called Total Divas. And just for the record, we will not be covering that show on TPW.
Wrestling promotion. Quit trying to do other things. You're a wrestling promotion. Stop it.
And that's the thing I don't understand sometimes about Vince. Like, he'll invest in something like this, which sadly to say this will probably be a hit. People will probably watch it because people watch any crap these days. But he is hesitant to invest in a venture like
in wrestling,
a physical WWE Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I don't know. It doesn't really make sense to me.
I know.
But
that's a good point.
Then we get another recap. Yeah, more recaps. The Shield, Hell No Taker. I mean, we just saw this recap 2 segments ago. Then the Shield backstage talking smack. You know, Ambrose claims he's going to beat Taker tonight. Then we get Fandango and Justin Gabriel.
Yes.
Nice to see him on TV, but you know he's going to job here.
But I'm kind of mixed emotions about this match because they are trying to build Fandango up.
They are.
You know?
I mean, yeah, I get it. I mean, I don't think it would make sense for Fandango to lose. Yeah. I will say that.
Yeah.
But, and, you know, Gabriel is in line for a
Intercontinental Championship shot.
And he did have a decent showing. He didn't, you know, just get squashed or anything.
I like to see him in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I think he would be a good fit.
Yeah.
I really do. And the way it's going, he might end up there.
Yeah.
So,
along with some others.
Yeah. But, you know, that's the thing here. No surprises. You pretty much know what's going to happen. Maybe not exactly how, but like I said, you know Gabriel's going to do the job here. And he does. Fandango wins with the leg drop. Then we got Sheamus Big Show for the umpteenth time. Show controls a lot of the early going. Honestly, I thought this match was a bit boring.
We've seen it so many times already.
And it wasn't just that, though. It was just so kind of sluggish and... I don't know. Sheamus did mount a bit of a comeback there, but Mark Henry comes out and distracts him, allowing Show to get the knockout punch on him in the pin. Then William Regal, once again, versus Wade Barrett.
A sighting of Wade Barrett.
Yeah, in his home country.
Call off the detective search.
Imagine that. The Intercontinental Champion in his home country is actually on TV this week. Who would have thought? Barrett gets on the mic and pokes fun at Regal's age a little bit there on his way out to the ring, which was kind of humorous. Said something about a missing corpse or something. I don't know. Barrett wins rather quickly here with the bullhammer. Kind of surprised they didn't job him out.
They're probably going to ride afterwards.
Then we get a look back at Heyman Triple H incident from the last Brawl. Then Randy Orton versus Mark Henry.
I love Orton, but you can skip this one.
Yeah, it was just okay, nothing special. Sheamus comes in and brogue kicks Henry, causing Orton to get DQ'd, which Orton didn't look real thrilled about, but he didn't go off about it either. Then afterwards, Orton hits the RKO on Henry. But here's what I don't understand, and they used to do this with Hulk Hogan too. I'm not just picking on Orton here. Orton lost the match, but they play his music after the match like he won, just because he pulled off an RKO on Henry after it was all said and done. That never made any sense to me. They used to do the same thing with Hulk Hogan. He'd lose, but he'd get the grand exit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No comment.
Yeah. Then a preview of another crappy WWE movie.
No One Lives.
Yeah. I believe Brodus Clay is going to be in that one.
Oh, shoot me now.
There again, why are they trying to make movies?
Yeah.
These direct-to-video, I don't know. Then we get to the main event. Dean Ambrose versus The Undertaker. Not bad. Nothing great, but not bad. Ambrose taps to the Hell's Gate.
It's good to see a different two guys.
Yeah.
In the main event.
And the Shield tries to beat down Taker after the match. Taker fights them off for a second, but the Shield gets the best of him. They put him through the barricade. Then
smack the shit out of him too.
Yeah, hit him with a couple chair shots. Then the coup de grace, they power bomb him through the announce table. They did some serious damage to the Taker there, and I'd say he might be on the shelf for a little while. He not see him till maybe Extreme Rules, maybe even. Is he booked on that show?
Not yet, but there's a lot of speculation that he's going to be.
Now, before we go to Raw here, we've got a contest going. We're going to be giving away one of these stylish TPW T-shirts like we wear on the show, and I've already put it up on Facebook. There 2 conditions apply. All you got to do to enter and be eligible is go to our Facebook page and like the page, and we want you guys to take a picture of your best wrestling pose, and if you have a cape or a toy belt or a wrestling mask
or sunglasses,
or anything to spice it up and make it humorous, or even a little sexy for the ladies out there. Send us a pic of your best wrestling pose for us, and the email address for that is tpwshow@gmx.com. Email us those pics, and we're going to pick a winner. We're going to wait a couple weeks to announce the winner because we want everybody to have a chance to get entered. But I believe episode 9, 2 weeks from now, we'll announce the winner. So send us those pics. We'd love to see what you got. So now we're going to go on to Raw, the big show.
Where was this one at?
This was in
Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus, Ohio. And wow, for once, no 20 minutes of talk from John Cena or whoever. No recaps. We just go straight into a match, and I loved that. The match was kind of a comedy match, but at least it went straight into a match. We got Ricardo versus Biggie Langston versus Coulter, and the stipulation here is the winner gets to pick the stipulation for the Extreme Rules match for the world title. What do you think of this scenario here?
I mean, it wasn't that bad. I mean, at least it's a kind of a different way to get the stipulations decided.
And of course, like we've said before, Zeb Coulter, Dirty Dutch Mantel, he, a good wrestler, a territorial guy, but he's old, man.
Big E's pretty good, and Ricardo's a trained wrestler as well.
Yeah, most people would be surprised, but just about everybody you see on camera is the referees,
even Justin Roberts.
Yeah, the managers, they've all been to wrestling school. But it was kind of funny.
It was something different.
Yeah. Some entertaining things there, especially when Ricardo hit Big E with the bucket, and it just didn't even phase him like a gnat. I thought that was pretty funny.
Ricardo gets the win.
Yeah, Ricardo gets the win. So him and Del Rio get to pick the stipulation. They haven't said what it is yet. They will later in the show here. Then John Cena, injured his Achilles heel in Europe, or Achilles tendon, I'm sorry. Whether that's legit or not, I don't know. And I was like, yes, Cena's hurt. And I know that's horrible, but I'm about to say something really positive about John Cena here, because next we see him with the Make-A-Wish Foundation kids, and
it's hard not to get a little choked up.
Yeah, it really is, and that's
because he does do this on his own time as well.
And and he doesn't have to. And the thing is, not only does he do it, he does it a lot. John Cena has granted over 300 wishes for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So, we might not like John Cena's character on the show. We might not really be crazy about his in-ring ability, and we're sick to death of him as a wrestler. But as a person,
gotta give him props.
Gotta give him credit there. You gotta respect him for that. That's great. Way to go, John. Keep it up, man. Then we get Orton versus Cody Rhodes.
I thought this was a near pay-per-view quality
Yeah,
match.
it really was. A lot of history here between these two. A great showing by Cody.
And Orton.
Yeah.
You got to give it to him.
Yeah, I'll give it to him. But, you know, this kind of was one of those matches that it was almost like a star-making match for Cody. In my opinion, it put him up on another level. Really, it really did. And I'm wondering if maybe they're getting ready to maybe give him another singles push, even though I do like the team with him and Sandow.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sandow was nowhere around. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
He, you know,
Yeah.
But, yeah, I thought a really good showing by Cody.
And Orton.
Yeah, several near falls. Of course, Orton gets the win with the RKO.
Off the top rope.
And then, as much as I hate to say it, that was a pretty impressive
reaction.
Superplex.
Off the top rope.
Yeah, when he did the superplex.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yeah.
Then after the match, Stryker gets in the ring and tries to get some comments, but, you know, Randy just kind of...
Looking over his shoulder the whole time and RKO's Cody again.
That was kind of good. Then we see the Bellas backstage plugging the Divas reality show again.
Boo.
Then it's Brie Bella versus Naomi of the Funkadactyls. Quick match. The Bellas win with the twin magic again, but the referee gets wise to it and reverses the decision. He disqualifies the Bellas, so Naomi gets the win by DQ, but then the Bellas beat up on her and Cameron. Then the Shield is out. More talk about their crusade for justice. We see some snapshots of all their victims over the past months. Then we get a look back at them taking out Undertaker at SmackDown. And then out comes 3MB. What'd you think of that, man?
I mean, I like Heath Slater. He's good in the mic. He's good in the ring. It's like we've said before. Him and McIntyre are great. Mahal needs to go, but I just don't understand. Now I'm at the point I don't understand either of them, the Shield or 3MB.
Yeah.
What are they doing with either one of them?
I know it's like what's the end game here?
Yeah.
I don't, especially with the Shield, because they've just built them and built them and built them and built them. You know, there's got to be a payoff of some kind sooner or later.
We thought there was going to be a leader. There wasn't.
Yeah.
Now it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah. Of course, you know, 3MB that Slater tells him to shut up.
Yeah.
You know, he tells the Shield they have some unfinished business. 3MB gets in the ring. Then, of course, they start getting the hell beat out of him.
Yeah.
Out comes Hell No to seemingly make the save. The Shield retreats, but then
They beat up 3MB's ass.
Hell No, finishes the job. And it's funny. JBL says, "Does everybody hate the shit? I mean, does
3MB.
everybody hate 3MB?"
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of funny. Then we see Cena backstage getting his injury taped up.
Oh God.
And Ryback walks up and says, "Tape it up all you want. You're still hurt." You know, Cena says he can still go, and he's probably better on one leg than Ryback is on two. Ryback says he can't take that chance and walks off. Then
Oh my God.
Cole and King plugging dominoes in their new tracking system. It's like, really? Do you really need to track your pizza?
Yeah.
I mean, I understand tracking packages,
That
but
$11 investment.
yeah. But I mean, usually I order pizza. It takes like 20 minutes, half hour tops.
I go pick them up. Well, I pay the $3 or $4.
Well, yeah, it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. But I mean, you really need to track it. Okay, now it's in the oven.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold up on that drink. It's not in the car yet. Jesus Christ. Give me a break.
Now it's slightly brown on top.
Yeah. The cheese isn't all the way melted. Hold that
He's
refreshment.
putting it in the bag. Then we have a champion versus champion. Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston.
Ziggler versus Kofi, number 27.
Yeah. But it wasn't a bad match.
It never is a bad match.
Ziggler wins with the zigzag. They're again kind of surprised they didn't job Ziggler out. Because it seemed like they're about to try and just push Kofi to the moon.
For the 17th time.
Yeah. Langston beats the hell out of Kofi after the match,
Yeah.
which I enjoyed that.
Always.
Then we see after the match, Ziggler, Big E, and AJ backstage. They run into Caitlyn and Natalya, and Caitlyn and AJ trade insults a little bit. Then Caitlyn gets a gift from a secret admirer.
Ooh.
Does this sound familiar? Do you think the writers have been watching a little bit of OVW maybe?
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know. That's a wrestling show. I don't know.
yeah, maybe not. But we get another look back at Lesnar Triple H. Then we see Vicky with Brad Maddox backstage, and Ryback comes in and says Cena is leaving him to face the Shield alone. Vicky suggests teaming up with Hell No, but Ryback says he doesn't trust him, and he says no basically and walks off. Then another spot for Domino's and their tracking system. Then we get Swagger versus Zack Ryder, and Swagger doing the comedy bit on his way out. Swagger's pretty dominant. Ryder does get in a quick offensive flurry here, but Swagger wins with the Patriot Lock. Excuse me. Then adds a little insult to injury after the match. But I think Ryder, is a pretty athletic guy, man.
Yeah.
They could do more with him. Then we see Ryback apparently leaving the building. Stryker tries to get a comment from him. Ryback just kind of flashes him a look and keeps walking. Then Mark Henry is out with a rope to prove he's the world's strongest man. We're going to have a tug-of-war contest here. What did you think of the tug-of-war contest there, Ace?
I wish I'd been drinking beer, but I wasn't. I mean, Tensai and Mark Henry, and then it was Brodus Clay and Mark Henry, and Henry beats them both at tug-of-war. Then out comes Sheamus. And you think to yourself, okay, if neither one of those two guys can do it, we both know Sheamus isn't going to be able to do it. Yeah. But yet he doesn't even technically beat him. He just makes him fall on his ass behind the line. And it's just like...
Yeah, it was just kind of pointless. Just time filler.
Yeah.
Then we get another look at the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And then, Hell No, backstage with Vicky and Maddox. They say they don't need Ryback. They still want the match with the Shield. Vicky tells Brad she wants him to do one more thing and whispers something in his ear. Cena tells Maddox he still wants to be in the 6-man. Cena says Brad will be hurt more than him if he doesn't tell Vicky to put him in the match. Then we get Del Rio versus Cesaro.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good match, really.
We all knew it was going to happen.
There again, Cesaro's going to do the job. He taps to the cross arm breaker. Then Del Rio gets on the mic and says the stipulation at Extreme Rules will be a ladder match.
Which I'm pretty excited about that. I think that could be a good match.
Yeah, it could be. Then we got Fandango versus Khali in a dance-off.
Oh, my God.
Even more of a waste of time than the tug-of-war was.
They think they'd be using this extra time since they went to 3 hours to push up some
that's
new and exciting talent. You know what I mean?
No, they're just filling it with more pointless crap.
Yeah.
Then yet another look back at Taker being destroyed by the Shield. Then finally, Cena, Hell No versus the Shield. Pretty good, Kane and Daniel Bryan, they can tell that Cena's hurt, so they're hesitant to tag him in. You can see Cena's kind of getting frustrated with the whole thing. And Kane finally does have no choice but to tag him in. Cena tries to do the AA on Rollins, and his leg gives out, of course, and Reigns spears him, and the Shield wins.
At this point, I don't know whether to shit my pants or why am I watching. Did Cena just lose cleanly?
Yeah, pretty much. But not completely clean because of the injury.
Yeah, oh God. I know.
He would have never lost if it weren't for that hurt leg.
Yeah.
Then Ryback is actually apparently still in the building and standing at the top of the ramp watching all this transpire as Raw goes off the air. Real quick here, I'm going to make this fast because we're running out of time. What were your thoughts on Raw, by the way?
You could tell it was just kind of one of those in the middle between pay-per-view filler Raws.
Right.
I mean, none of the really big stars that they've been using here lately, Brock and Triple H, Taker, none of them were in the show, so it was kind of a lot of filler. And with Punk out now, and maybe Cena about to be out, Orton, Sheamus, Show, and Henry, you're gonna have to do something with some of these main eventers because they need more main eventers fast.
Yeah, they're gonna have to promote some guys. Maybe that's kind of what was behind the whole Cody Rhodes thing. Maybe they're gonna throw him in the mix. Yeah. But real quick here, I want to do the this week in wrestling history segment. And two things. This week in 1998, sadly, the wrestling world lost the Junkyard Dog. Sylvester Ritter was killed in an auto accident.
Sad day there.
Yeah, sad day. JYD, he was, when they were doing the whole rock and wrestling thing in the early 80s, he was up there in popularity with guys like Hogan. I mean, just a big star and a big loss. And then this week in 1987, the Honky Tonk Man wins the Intercontinental title from Ricky Steamboat. And it's noteworthy for a couple of reasons. First, Steamboat had just won it like about a month earlier at WrestleMania 3. And you really expected him to have a good long run with the belt. From what I understand, they were kind of punishing him, taking the belt off of him because he
requested some time off.
He wanted to take time off to spend with his wife and his newborn son. They had just put the belt on him, and then he wants time off. But you gotta respect him. Family comes first, man. But even more importantly here, and it was a huge shock. It was a big upset at the time. But I remember I watched it on TV. That it was a Saturday morning show, and something was just in the air. Yeah. And I just had this bad feeling that Honky Tonk Man was going to win it before the match ever started. I just had this feeling in my gut that that's how it was going to go down, and it did. And you could tell, like, Steamboat really wasn't in the match mentally. Yeah. And he lost in a weird kind of, he almost just kind of like fell in the corner, and Honky Tonk just kind of like, took his legs and folded him up and pinned him real quick. It was like real quick and real anticlimactic, no big finish. It was just kind of like, almost like a fluke. Yeah. And
then that was it.
And that was it. And you're like, did that really just happen? But the main thing here is that you figured, well, Honky Tonk Man's just going to be a transitional champion. Somebody will crush him a month from now and take it.
But yeah, he's the longest reigning.
He ends up being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion ever, a record which still stands to this day. So I had to throw that out there.
It's funny how things work out.
Yeah, it really is. The Honky Tonk Man of all people, which just another little tidbit of information. A lot of people might know this, but he is Jerry Lawler's cousin. Mm-hmm. Wayne Ferris is his real name. And he wrestled in Memphis. But anyhow, that's this week's show. Once again, get those entries in for the contest. The address, once again, is tpwshow@gmx.com. And that's all the time we got. We'll see you next week. For the amazing Ace Larson, I'm Mr. Electricity, Eric Davidson. We'll see you next time.